2, 1.
Hop! Voila! We're in the southern hemisphere. Fantastic!
And for this, a little bottle of champagne. Thank you, Neptune. Our first chunk done. Feels good, a little shot of wine.
Ah! Woo! Ah! Magic! This is for real! Hey!
That's it. It's done. All the Vendée Globe competitors have now crossed the equator and celebrated the dive into the southern hemisphere appropriately. But at the beginning of this third-week race, Bertrand de Broc, worried about the state of his keel, has to reroute to a small Brazilian archipelago and dive under his boat's hull. The damages we found aren't huge, but very constraining to keep on sailing. The nose cone careening are busted, so it seems complicated to fix underwater. It's off Madeira that Bertrand heard a shock on the keel 4 days after the start. Well, it's a boat. You gotta take it into account. When it's damaged, gotta tend to it. As it is, the boat can still sail, so I can bring it back. This is the third abandonment on 4 participations for this charismatic skipper who marked the Vendée Globe's history. In 1992, he had to sew his tongue together himself. It's unfair but often the case. Since crossing Cape Finisterre, the 7 competitors ahead continued their dive towards the south on a veritable freeway. We're all out, heading south. Taking advantage of sustained trade winds, 400 miles in 24 hours. Led by Alex Thompson, foilers let loose.
That's the way it goes. Generally, the rich get richer. They're still in good shape, still leading the race.
Set off in hot pursuit, Armel takes advantage of favorable weather conditions to stay close to the Welsh. Wind is starting to come in. Looks pretty good. Good conditions to speeding. We're circling the Sainte-Hélène High, and we'll catch a depression tomorrow evening. That should take us to the roaring 40s. The entrance to the South Seas. So there are 7 of them. The Magnificent 7, as Quito de Pavon nicknamed them, blasting into the trade winds at a tempo that's not easy to keep up with. I have the feeling I'm on board a spaceship. With a lot of humidity outside, but also, unfortunately, inside as well. Well, that's it. It should calm down in the days to come. I hope. In this group ahead, only 2 boats with straight keels resist splendidly to the foilers, Vincent Rioux on PRB and Paul Meillat on SMA. We're trying to get fast past this front so that it won't catch up with us too soon, because in the rear there's no wind whatsoever. We're tearing along, trying anyway, about 20 knots average. At that speed, rhythm is such, there's no question to relax even for a moment, particularly when noise on board goes way over the 100 dBs. It's a little noisy and choppy as well. Kind of hard to go to sleep. Oh, good night to everyone. Problem is that at such speed, the slightest shock takes on another dimension. On the 13th day of the race, superstitious abstain. Alex Thompson breaks his starboard foil.
Yesterday morning, I was dozing when there was an almighty bang. The boat turned hard to starboard. The rudder popped up. Once I'd managed to get the rudder back down and get the boat sorted out, I realised that the foil had broken, the starboard foil had broken. There's still a bit of it there, jagged edges sticking out the side of the boat, slowing me down. But I can't do anything about that. I can't get it in any further. So at some point I'm going to have to I guess, go over the side and cut it off. Foil on the other side. So, I'm hoping that I'll be able to hang out here ahead and praying for lots of starboard tack. And as I've said before, for this race you have to expect the unexpected.
But the run of bad luck has no end. During the night, Vincent Rioux is in 5th position when PRB hits an unidentified floating object with the keel bearing. This morning, the wind calmed down after the crossing through the front, so I was able to open the keel box and put my hands inside, because you can slide your arm through but can't see much. And I ascertained what I had felt under my feet, that is, that the keel is no longer in sync with the boat. Vincent Rioux abandons. He was one of the great favorites in this race and is now rerouting towards Cape Town, South Africa. It's a great disappointment for me to have to abandon. But the thing is, you've got to imagine all the people we brought along on this adventure. You've got to imagine the disappointment of this whole community who supports us. And it's true. It's a burden hard to carry, especially on solitary races where you're alone in action. So stories that end this way, the sooner the page is turned, the better for everyone.
Plus vite elles sont closes, mieux tout le monde se porte.
Another anonymous floating object caused trouble on Tuesday night. Sébastien Josse had to spend 4 hours fixing the part that maintains the starboard rudder in a low position. He succeeded, but at what energy costs? On the other hand, all seems fine now for Jérémy Bayou, who has had a hard time with technical problems. It's been 4 or 5 days I haven't been out, haven't seen the equator. Busy fixing darn automatic pilot issues. But now, after 5 days, I think we found the solution. So, champagne. If it was predicted that after the cross of the equator, the entire fleet would glide quietly down south, it turned out right for the ones ahead. But for the others, it became a real nightmare. A string of high pressure drove some of the competitors almost crazy. Not a breath of wind since last night. Not the slightest puff. Nothing. I'm going crazy. I better hang up. This is the kind of wind we had all night. When it's like that, you gotta put things in perspective. Gotta stay calm. It's bound to come back. On the 15th day of the race, the fleet is spread over 6,500 kilometers. It is clear there are 2 races within the race, arbitrated by complex weather system, or true imbroglio. Wind on the outposts, but nothing for the pursuers in the rear. We have a high-pressure cell which is blocking the way. It's the story of a grade crossing. And it gets complicated because the gate is closed and the attendant is on strike. On top of which the barrier's not working and we can't fiddle with it. It sure closed itself damn tight. Slam. Ahead, they're dashing like crazy. Gonna end up with 2,000 miles delay by the time we reach the south. Can you imagine? And it'll be worse for the ones in the rear. Awful. Oh, the weather. I can't figure it out. I have no idea which way to go. Shh. There's a yacht race going on. Pretty exciting. We're going to carry out a special weather report. When you can fly a paper plane to the roof of an IMOCA, it means there are 2 solutions left. Wait, or... No, in fact, there's only 1 solution left. Gotta wait. One did succeed in getting through. That's Yann Eliès. He played it all in a very risky option. Let's not cry victory too soon, but I think I was able to get through that mouse hole I was talking about in the last days. A little strap of wind 50 or 60 miles wide. It's a game of poker that allows him not to lose touch and secure his 7th place. While in the 18th day of the race, a good number of competitors are still sweating in the tropics in search of puffs of wind. At the outposts, radical change of ambiance. The fleece jackets are out, the Great South isn't so welcoming. Let me show you the ambiance outside. It's a little cloudy. We still have a little wind. I maneuvered. I also put on my waterproof outfit because it's a little damp outside. And I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea to warm all this up. Much lower south, right at the limit of the Antarctic exclusion zone, this ice zone forbidden to the competitors, on board Hugo Boss, everything for protection's been well planned.
Down here now it's pretty cold. I don't know if you can see, I've got what we call our Wendy house up. So this covers the back of the cockpit and stops all the spray and most of the water from coming in.
Alex Thompson, truly untouchable, leading since Cape Verde's Islands. 17 days, 22 hours and 58 minutes, racing at the average record time of 17.3 knots since the start at Les Sables d'Olonne to cross the Cape of Good Hope, more precisely the Cape Agulhas, the landmark between the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean. 5 days ahead of the time reference set by Armel Lecléache in 2012, which says a lot about this interplanetary regatta.
So hopefully I'll get a little extension. She's still a little stump hanging out. There really isn't very much left. So it's not really much use. In fact, it's almost certainly slowing me down at the moment. So this means I've got to work harder, try and stay in front for as long as I possibly can.
While Alex Thompson was crossing the Cape of Good Hope, followed 4 hours and 32 minutes later by Banque Populaire, Morgan Lagravière realized he was missing 2/3 of his starboard rudder, forcing him to abandon the race. He was in 4th position and accomplishing a splendid performance for his first participation in the Vendée Globe. Of course I'm disappointed. It was going good in the race. It was nice. Well involved in the match. The boat was doing fine. I was also happy to prove I was capable of being on the level with the best. The stop is brutal, it hurts, but you gotta accept it. It hurts. You just need to bounce back, move on. It's a game after all, a race, not real life. It's a curious feeling, isn't it? But that's how I feel today. Way behind, even if the wind picks up by one of those depressions offshore Argentina. Hour after hour, day after day, an enormous gap continues to widen with the ones ahead. Another race where one must keep patience at his side to finally escape the highest clutches.